On a humid Houston evening in the summer of 1994, a quiet neighborhood was shaken by the inexplicable disappearance of LaNell Julius, a bright, ambitious 21-year-old. Her family remembers her as the glue that held them together, a woman with a love for people and a talent for bringing smiles to everyone she met. But on this night, LaNell vanished into the darkness, leaving no trace, just an eerie silence where laughter used to be. Her case is one of thousands in Texas that remain unresolved. To this day, over 22,000 unsolved murders and missing persons haunt the state, a chilling reminder of the mysteries hidden in plain sight. For LaNell's loved ones, the pain of unanswered questions is unbearable. Was it someone she knew? Or was it a chance encounter that forever altered the lives of those who loved her? The streets she walked, the corners she turned, did they hold the key to the truth? Houston, a city with its share of secrets, became the backdrop to a tragedy that still stirs unease. For a brief moment, LaNell's case caught attention, joining the voices of over 64,000 black women who go missing every year in America. But soon the noise faded, and LaNell became another face in the shadows of forgotten justice. Yet her family never gave up hope. They turned to the community, investigators, and even the media, desperate for clues to bring her home. But as days turned into years, her story faded from headlines, leaving only whispers of what might have been. LaNell Julius was more than just another name on a list of missing persons. At 21 years old, she was a beacon of hope for her family and friends, a young black woman with dreams and the determination to make them a reality. Known for her infectious kindness and fierce ambition, LaNell's world revolved around her loved ones and the city she called home, Houston, Texas. In 1994, Houston was a city grappling with rising crime rates and complex social dynamics. The bustling streets and vibrant neighborhoods often masked a darker reality, where cases like LaNell's too often fell through the cracks. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through her community, igniting both fear and a call to action. It was on a warm night in late summer that everything changed. LaNell was last seen leaving her friend's house, planning to head home. But somewhere along the way, she vanished without a trace. Her family's initial worry turned into panic as hours stretched into days. Friends and neighbors joined the frantic search, plastering her face on flyers and pleading for information. The Houston Police Department stepped in, but their efforts yielded few leads. Her case briefly caught public attention, reflecting broader systemic challenges in addressing missing persons cases involving black women. The statistics are staggering. Black women represent a significant proportion of missing persons in America, yet their cases are often underreported or overlooked. For LaNell's family, this wasn't just a statistic. It was personal, a fight for justice, closure, and to ensure her story wouldn't be forgotten. This case isn't just about a single young woman's disappearance. It's about the systemic disparities in how these cases are handled and the communities left searching for answers. It was August 29, 1994, a sweltering summer night in Houston, Texas. LaNell Julius, a vibrant 21-year-old, was last seen leaving a close friend's home around 10 p.m., planning to make the short drive back to her apartment. LaNell had spent the evening chatting and laughing, her usual self, full of warmth and energy. But somewhere between her friend's doorstep and her front door, LaNell disappeared. Witnesses recalled seemingly insignificant details that in hindsight grew more ominous. A neighbor reported seeing LaNell's car pull out of the driveway, but minutes later the street fell silent. Another mentioned an unfamiliar vehicle parked a few blocks away with its lights off. What seemed like the routine hum of a city night quickly turned into a community on edge. When LaNell failed to return home, her mother, who called LaNell every night, felt an unsettling dread. Calls went unanswered, and the following morning LaNell's absence was undeniable. Her family contacted the Houston Police Department, launching what would become a frustrating and agonizing search, but LaNell's body was never found. To this day, her fate remains a harrowing mystery. The silence of that night speaks louder than words. No distress call, no signs of a struggle, just a young woman gone without a trace. In the days following LaNell's disappearance, the Houston Police Department launched an extensive search. Flyers with her smiling face covered telephone poles and shop windows, pleading for anyone with information to come forward. Officers canvassed the neighborhood, questioning residents and retracing LaNell's steps. The investigation began with hope. Authorities initially believed LaNell's car, found abandoned on a desolate road 10 miles from her home, might hold vital clues. But inside they found no fingerprints, no signs of a struggle, just an eerie emptiness. Detectives turned to LaNell's close circle. Her family and friends were devastated but cooperative, each recounting her movements in detail. Her mother described LaNell as cautious, never taking risks. Friends echoed this, painting a picture of a woman loved by many but with no known enemies. Still, leads were scarce. One neighbor reported hearing what sounded like muffled voices near the street where LaNell's car was found. Another recalled seeing a shadowy figure walking hurriedly past their home late that night. But none of these accounts led to solid evidence. Pressure mounted as days turned to weeks. The media picked up the story, highlighting not only LaNell's case, but the grim reality for thousands of missing black women whose stories go untold. But with no clear evidence and growing public scrutiny, the investigation began to stall. Community members criticized the police for not treating LaNell's case with the urgency it deserved. The weight of representation bore heavily on her family, knowing the systemic challenges black families face in missing person cases. As investigators dug deeper, potential suspects and theories began to emerge. One name stood out early on, a male acquaintance who had recently expressed romantic interest in LaNell. Friends described his behavior as increasingly obsessive in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. He denied involvement and claimed he was home the entire night, an alibi that investigators couldn't immediately confirm. Investigators also couldn't ignore the possibility of a random act of violence. Houston had seen a surge in violent crimes during this time, with numerous cases involving young women being abducted and murdered by strangers.